claims courts, how to use them, when to use them, and what you can achieve. This is a service set up by the courts to simplify the legal system for you, the viewers. We also take a look at a very special small claims court in London while it's in session, and this gives you an idea of how the process actually works. Well, all this and a very special postbag too in tonight's People Rule at 10:35.
But now, the television revolution, the latest one in tonight's TVI.
TVI brings news of a revolution in television viewing. How satellite entertainment may offer the alternative to ITV and BBC. Peter Taylor reports.
This is how ITV brings you pictures of, say, the Olympics. The satellite beams them to ITV. The ITV transmitter then sends the programme into your home. But all this is about to change. This may be what you have on the top of your chimney pot in a few years' time. It's a dish that will receive television pictures direct from a satellite in the sky. It will mean that people in Great Britain will be able to receive up to 50 different television channels. Satellite broadcasting of tomorrow works like this. Programmes beamed directly from the sky to your home. It's due to start in 4 years' time. Then, when the television men come round, this is the kind of aerial they'll be fitting on your roof. It'll bring you dozens of new channels from all over Europe via your very own satellite ground station. Viewed from above, satellite television raises even more important issues than the current debate as to who should control the fourth conventional television channel. And satellite programming is no fantasy. The Japanese know the revolution is coming. They're already marketing the hardware. Last autumn, they brought their samples to England, a dish to receive the pictures and a special converter to show them on your existing television set. In America, satellite stations are already at work.
The Atlanta television station that serves the nation. WTCG 17.
A package of popular programs like this on the satellite superstation has shaken America's conventional networks by beating them at their own ratings game. And the man who's making millions out of his gold mine in the sky is Ted Turner. I spoke to him, naturally, on the satellite.
We stress entertainment more than we do information here. We feel like that the other networks in America do enough to depress everybody. We try and cheer everybody up.
Do you believe that more television automatically means better television, Mr. Turner?
Absolutely. It's just like beer at a pub. You know, if you have too much, you don't have to drink it, right? But if you don't have enough, you go short. With television, nobody has to watch television. If you don't want to watch it, you turn it off. And if the choice is you flip to the channel that you want to see. If you don't want it, it's the greatest thing in the world. You can't make somebody watch television, not even in Russia. Right?
But his idea that also needs a cable system is only the halfway house to direct satellite broadcasting.
This is the PTL Satellite Network.
This is the PTL Club.
PTL Satellite Network is helping to fulfill the Great Commission. 24 hours daily, the satellite is feeding great Christian programming to...
PTL means Praise the Lord, non-stop religion, 24 hours a day.
PTL Television Network presents Jim Baker, hosting the world's most unusual talk variety show, with outreach of ministries around the world, via television, radio, and satellite. This is the PTL Club.
With 20 million viewers in nearly 200 stations across America, PTL claims the largest audience for a live show anywhere in the world.
And now, here's your host, PTL President Jim Baker!
Please welcome our real good friends, Charles and Frances Hunter, the Happy Hunters.
Typical star guests, a faith healing team. The £3 million studios were paid for by donations from the faithful. Some say PTL means pass the loot.
Oh, you're looking good.
Well, we get to the part at the end where we say, and if you happen to ask me, how are you, my friend, then you all go like this. That's the new Christian sign. Everybody put your hands up. That means I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. We do that in the motels, and we go down in the morning, and all the amigos come down and meet us, and that's the way we all greet each other. We say, I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. The businessmen going to the tables, hallelujah. And then they peek out to see what's the matter with us.
See why we're so happy.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Sport vies with God for its place in the sky. Way out in front with a satellite network of its own is MSG, Madison Square Garden, Wembley with the roof on.
Ready for take 4.
MSG has exclusive TV rights to every event in the arena. The company sews up sporting events for its satellite audience of 3 million viewers.
Take 1. Set back across the line by Hammerstrom. Danny cuts through a lot, even though...
This whole television package belongs to Gulf and Western, the biggest entertainment conglomerate in the world. These satellite supermen can hardly wait for the next step, satelliting their programs directly to your home.
I think it's fearful to many people in the United States that big, I'm not going to call it Big Brother, but you know, that eye in the sky, they think of it as beaming right to the homes. I think people in the United States perhaps fear propaganda from other countries and that type of thing. But I believe it's going to come, just as it's already beginning to make great inroads in Europe and other parts of the world. I believe it must come, and I want to be there. I want to be one of the first to use direct satellite-to-home broadcasting, because what an impact that's going to be, and it's unavoidable as far as I'm concerned.
The satellite pictures that we see today come from among 50 communication satellites already circling the Earth. But the new generation of direct television satellites is on its way. The Japanese satellite is already transmitting. At the moment, it's experimental. Its television service is due to start shortly. As the viewer turns his dish to the satellite in the sky, the pictures hit the screen. It's as simple as this. This television revolution stems directly from this document, the result of the World Broadcasting Satellite Conference held in Geneva in 1977. The Home Office, the government department responsible for broadcasting, attended on our behalf. This conference allocated to each country a place in space where it could put its own direct TV broadcasting satellite. So, in principle, the British government could now launch its own satellite that would bring 5 new television channels directly into your home. But at the moment, the government isn't interested. It still hasn't sorted out the Annan report and the 4th channel, let alone the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. This revolution is so sudden that the Annan report only devotes 2 of its 500 pages to satellite broadcasting. Europe sees it differently. Jean Darcy was the head of French television and the father of Eurovision. How will satellite television change our traditional conceptions of broadcasting?
Well, up to now, satellite has been limited to the national frontiers. And suddenly, because of the satellite broadcasting, there will be no more frontiers in the propagation of pictures. So there will be no more national programs, and the present structures, which are national for running broadcasting, we have to change.
He believes it's a revolution no government can ignore. It's like the invention of the printing press.
It is due to what many people call the special impact of television. I don't believe in the special impact of television, as I am sure that just right after Gutenberg in the 15th or 16th century, people used to speak of the special impact of the printed word. This has disappeared now. It will be the same for television.
And the French are well ahead of the game. Perched on a mountaintop in Clermont-Ferrand is the French test satellite transmitter, undercover to protect it from the elements. It beams its pictures into the valley below. The waiting dish picks up its signal. Quality checks are continuous as French broadcasters are keen to go ahead. A satellite would give them complete coverage of France, something which at the moment eludes them via existing transmitters. This is the French satellite under test. The moving section contains the television channel. The dish then transmits the signals to Earth. All that's needed to put this in the sky is a political decision from Paris.
We know that our government is working on the subject, but of course we cannot now forecast any decision about it, you know. We hope it will come because it will bring offer business for us.
At the headquarters of Messerschmitt near Munich, the Germans aren't far behind. Unlike the French, they don't have a direct satellite, but it wouldn't take long to equip this communication satellite with television channels. This will be the antenna that will reflect the signals to Earth. And like the French, the Germans know that satellites mean money. Messerschmitt have just signed an agreement with the Chinese to develop up to 20.
The first satellite is dedicated to a so-called pre-operational service for 2 years. This means the program is being implemented and the ground receiver network is being set up during that period. And we hope to start the real operational service in early 1985.
But the Germans must look to France to get the project off the ground. Under construction near Paris is Ariane, the French rocket due to be test launched in South America this autumn. The French hope that Ariane will put their own satellite in space in 1982, blazing a trail that other nations will follow, their satellites on Ariane's back. But only politicians can give the go-ahead for programs from space. Last month, the French president met the German chancellor here at the Élysée in Paris. Both know the cake is worth more the less it is cut. It seems they've agreed to carve up the rich market for themselves by getting up there first, leaving their European partners still standing on the ground.
Should a German satellite be launched, what would be the impact? I think that either the Germans or the French or the Nordics, the Scandinavians, launching a satellite will precipitate, if I may use this word, precipitate Europe into the satellite era for broadcasting, because the others will follow. I think that it is not possible anymore to be absent from satellite broadcasting for a given country when your neighbors start satellite broadcasting.
And on Show 8, everything is great with Inner Circle, one from our Disco 30 this week.
Bob Jones, Radio Luxembourg. Luxembourg, whose radio programs have ignored national boundaries for nearly half a century, now see the chance to do the same with television. Luxembourg has every financial incentive to do so. It's one of the most successful broadcasting empires in Europe.
Believes.
Its existing television channel, with a popular mix of programs, has already captured over 40% of its neighbours' audience in France, Belgium and Holland. With a satellite, Luxembourg reckons it could win over 20% of all viewers in France and 40% in Germany.
In our motto, in our coat of arms, says that Radio Luxembourg gives to the Luxembourg Lion wings to go out of the country. So I think if there is a possibility, a good possibility of going out of the country by satellite, we try to use it.
If you had a satellite, what other countries would be able to receive your programs?
We have a main coverage. We will have a main coverage in France, in Germany, in Belgium, and in Holland.
Luxembourg's beam falls on a lucrative market of £400 million worth of advertising revenue. That's in Germany alone. The French market adds 200 million because the beam stretches to Lyon in the south. But the Germans can't be too happy at the prospect of your television programs pinching their viewers, can they?
In behalf of 10 years, the German could have theoretically 50 programs with the overlapping of the satellite over Germany. So one more or one less, I think it would not be so important.
Luxembourg has every reason to be serious. Dr. Grass has already been shopping for a satellite. Would you consider buying a British satellite?
Well, I think the question for the moment is you asked me too early too earlier. We don't know what is the price of the different companies, so we have to see.
You're looking for a good price?
Yes, for a good price, yes. And for some security, because it's important to have a satellite who is working.
Last month, Luxembourg went to British Aerospace, Stevenage. They liked what they saw, a communications satellite easily adapted to meet their needs and almost off the peg. The world market for satellites affords a rich opportunity which Britain could seize if it wants to. In fact, you've only found out about Luxembourg's interest because we told you. You didn't know yourselves.
Indeed, indeed. And fascinatingly, the people from Luxembourg had approached American companies, Japanese companies, companies in Germany, companies in France. For some reason which is inexplicable to me, they never approached ourselves.
But you can't expect the world to beat its path to your door. You've got to go out and find the customers, haven't you? You should have gone out and found Luxembourg. We shouldn't have had to tell you about it.
One's got to hear from somewhere, and I don't really mind where I hear of the requirement on that particular case. It identifies that there is a market on the doorstep which is untapped.
What is your reaction when you see the French and the Germans almost deciding to go ahead to build and launch their own national satellites?
Envy, in the first place. I'm very envious of that degree of determination.
Pressure on the British government to broadcast from space is coming from British industry, not British broadcasters. The BBC, which leads the world in this particular kind of technology, told the Annan Committee it had no wish to run another channel. It already felt itself politically vulnerable to breakup because of its existing size. Further, the BBC's transmitter network already covers the whole of the country, so a satellite would be superfluous. And the BBC has enough money problems as it is. Like the BBC, the IBA has all the technical know-how at its fingertips. But at the moment, its main concern is to establish the transmitter network for the fourth channel. But the ITV companies who live or die by their advertising revenue are desperately worried at the prospect of foreign stations eating into their audience and their revenue too. It's the French beam that worries them. £200 million worth of advertising revenue are at stake. And there'll also be some overspill from most other European countries, first from Germany in 4 years' time. Language isn't a barrier.
Bonjour.
Press a button for an instant translation.
Good day.
Satellites and rockets are coordinated by the European Space Agency. They monitor the rules. If a British company wanted to rent space on, say, a French satellite and use that to broadcast English programs into the part of England that the French satellite overspills, is there anything to stop them?
Well, I think from the technical international convention, there's nothing to stop them. But of course, they would have to have the agreement of the French government. So, I mean, I'm not in a position to answer this question, but technically it's, of course, quite feasible. And then from the international point of view, I guess any country on its own, let's say, a beam can transmit whatever it wishes.
This is a satellite transmitter. Each segment transmits a separate channel. The French only need 3 channels. On the principle that the best form of defense is attack, some British TV executives are now asking the French to rent them a spare channel, so they can beam British programs into Britain using the French overspill beam.
Viewers from all around the nation have told us the Superstation has delivered on its promise of a super season. That's WTCG 17 from Atlanta, the 24-hour entertainer.
Flying high in
And this is exactly what enabled Ted Turner to become a part-time yachtsman, full-time millionaire, and unashamed self-publicist. This is his own commercial. Turner rented a spare channel on a satellite and used it to feed his fun and games down to the homes of America. Thus, the satellite superstation was born on a spare channel which he saw could make him a lot of money. Are you going to find gold in them there skies, Mr. Turner?
I sure hope so. I don't want to die in debtor's prison.
You've described your station as escapist. What are you escaping from?
The realities of the world we live in. Do you remember a show, they probably showed it in England years ago, called The Beverly Hillbillies?
Yes.
Well, do you remember in the beginning of it, old Jed Clampett is out shooting rabbits, and he shoots a gun and hits the ground, and oil just comes bubbling out of it. You know, we had plenty of oil then. You know, we weren't running out of the stuff, and everybody's scared over here now, and everybody else is always telling us that gold's going up and the stock market's going down and the floods and earthquakes and everything, and we show the Beverly Hillbillies and let them forget about it for a minute. I mean, that's what entertainment's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you forget your miserable life. You know, when you're watching a show about millionaires, you can think you are one. Or, you know, some beautiful movie star like Marilyn Monroe, she's dead, but we still show her movies, and everybody can kind of think, well, maybe I'd been nice if I'd have been Joe DiMaggio.
What would happen if all the other stations decided to stop showing the news and show the Beverly Hillbillies?
Because then I'd put on the news, you dummy. That's why England's in so much trouble. Nobody's got any brains over there anymore.
A great independent station.
As the superstation swept the nation, it swept up the advertising too, and taking it from the established networks.
We're happy to say that the superstation acceptance has far exceeded even our expectations. We now have a long list of advertisers utilizing this service. Among them, Miller Beer, Gillette, Mobil Oil, Eastern Airlines, Nestle, Heinz, and many others. Now is the time for you to put our coverage to work for your product and services.
So, what would Ted Turner do in the skies above Europe?
If I liked it, I'd try and figure out how what would be the feasibility, how I'd go about getting control of one of those channels on the satellite. That's what I'd do first, because unless you have one of those satellite channels up there, you're not going to be able to do anything, right?
What sort of programs would you be beaming down from above, Mr. Turner?
Well, you'd have to, if you were trying to reach people all over Europe, well, one thing you'd want to do is get as many football games as you could. And I'm talking about British football, you know, European football, soccer. Everybody likes that, right? And I'd try and get Mickey Mouse. Everybody likes him. With Mickey Mouse, and I'd try and get movies, I think. I'd try and get movies and plays, and since the Europeans are all a little more intellectually concerned, maybe on Sunday night we'd run an opera or something like that. There's no language problems with operas, right? Some of them being Italian, some of them in Russian, you know. Everybody'd like that.
You don't seem to have any great commitment to public service broadcasting, Mr. Turner.
I think I'm serving the public. It's my idea of what's serving the public anyway. And if people don't like my station, they turn it off. They've been turning it on because they like it. You'd like it too if you could see it. So would everybody in jolly old England.
And one day we may have Ted Turner-type programs, because only they will keep advertisers and viewers happy and thereby make the satellite companies their money. But they may be difficult to control. If Britain says that it is not interested in satellite broadcasting and said it does not want to receive pictures from other people's satellites, what would be your reaction to that?
It is impossible to make the decision that the British viewers will not be able to receive pictures from a foreign satellite. My feeling is that we have to, everywhere, we have to transform our minds, change our mentalities. We have been living in the structures of nationalists for a very long time, since the war, I would say, as far as broadcasting is concerned. Because of the new advent in technology, we have to change our structures, not to adapt the new technology to the past structures, but to invent new structures for the new technology. And your hypothesis of the British authorities preventing the British viewers of receiving pictures from space look to me impossible, incredible. It is not in conformity with your traditions.
So British viewers can receive French pictures, whether the British government likes it or not?
I think, yes, I think it is the proper application, proper implementation of the freedom of information.
Freedom of information is one thing, non-stop Valium from the sky is another. In the future, it may be even more difficult reconciling the interests of broadcasters and businessmen, not always easy bedfellows. Noble sentiments could easily be lost in a European ratings war led by generals like Ted Turner. Like it or not, the revolution is coming.